Let's continue with our discussion of The Dose Effect by T.J. Power. Today is the second part of our interpretation. You've probably heard the phrase, do the hard but right thing. But how exactly do you do that? By sheer willpower? By grinding through pain? Many people like to imagine that successful people are simply those who can endure. Scientists, for instance, are often portrayed as exhausted, overworked individuals, both physically and mentally drained, burning the candle at both ends just to give off a little light. But that's a complete misunderstanding of human nature. All those sayings like no pain, no gain, or the path up the mountain of books is paved with diligence, and the sea of learning has no end but hard work, are misleading growth models. If success means a lifetime of suffering, what's the point of living? The greatest secret of successful people is that they enjoy it. And that enjoyment mainly comes from dopamine. Dopamine isn't a reward chemical. It doesn't simply make you feel happy. It gives you motivation. It's the joy of pursuit. When the prey is right in front of you, just a few more steps to catch it. Do you feel tired or miserable? No. You feel excited. That's the true state of someone doing meaningful work. Years after you retire, when you look back, the moment you'll relive again and again, isn't the one on the stage holding the trophy. It's the thrill of solving problems, the drive you felt while chasing your goal, powered by dopamine. Doing the hard but right thing actually feels good. But you've also heard that scrolling short videos, gambling, or eating sweets releases dopamine too. So what's the difference between those two kinds of dopamine? I strongly recommend that anyone reading Power's The Dose Effect also follow along with our interpretation. He doesn't fully explain this part, so let's make it clear. First, we need to understand a concept called the pleasure-pain balance. This is a neurophysiological phenomenon with deep philosophical meaning. The systems that generate pleasure and those that generate pain are not separate. They're governed by the same brain regions, primarily the hypothalamus, along with the nucleus accumbens, mesolimbic pathway, and the brain's opioid system. These areas handle both reward and aversion, pleasure and pain regulation. That means pleasure and pain are two sides of the same coin. They coexist. Imagine a seesaw. When pleasure increases, pain rises too. When you experience pain, pleasure rises in return. The sayings joy follows sorrow, or finding joy in suffering might sound extreme, but that's literally how the brain maintains equilibrium. For instance, if you indulge in many pleasurable activities, eating sweets, drinking alcohol, watching porn, you won't stay happy for long. Within hours, you'll feel emptiness or boredom. Conversely, when you do things that seem painful, like running, taking cold showers, or focusing deeply on work, you end up feeling joy. Even extreme pain works this way. At the last kilometer of a marathon, you might feel transcendence. Women, right after the immense pain of childbirth, often experience profound love and relief. Someone who breaks down crying might later feel calm and clear-headed. Different mechanisms, same brain regions. The pleasure-pain balance system. The brain naturally seeks balance. Dopamine also plays a major role in this balance, through two different mechanisms often called fast dopamine and slow dopamine. They originate from the same brain pathways but operate differently. Fast dopamine rises and falls quickly. After 2 hours of short videos, you feel empty. That's fast dopamine's rebound. Each spike is short-lived, and after the peak comes the crash. During that crash, the brain releases chemicals like dynorphin, which deepen the feeling of low mood. Slow dopamine, on the other hand, rises slowly and fades slowly, and without punishment afterward. It takes effort to get into reading, but once you're absorbed, you feel content, perhaps even enter a flow state. That's slow dopamine at work. After you stop reading, dopamine levels gradually drop, but you don't feel down. The baseline is also different. Fast dopamine starts high. You feel excitement from the start. Slow dopamine starts low. At first you don't want to run or read, you must endure that early discomfort. But once you get into it, dopamine slowly climbs. Why the difference? Because their trigger patterns differ. Fast dopamine works on a prediction fulfillment model. You see a piece of candy, predict it'll taste good, eat it, and it does. Dopamine spikes just before you bite. That's anticipatory pleasure. Smoking, drinking, drugs, short videos, porn, social media, gambling, online shopping. All share this loop. Predicted reward, instant fulfillment. Low effort, short process, high frequency. Fast in, fast out. Slow dopamine works on an effort progress model, or engagement feedback. You put in effort, see feedback, and make progress. Only then does dopamine release. Even 2 pages of reading or a kilometer of running create a small sense of achievement. That's slow dopamine, propelling you to keep going. Because it requires effort first, it's harder to start. But once it starts, it lasts longer. In short, fast dopamine equals high start, small waves, quick fade. Slow dopamine equals low start, slow rise, slow fade. The biggest difference lies in where they are received in the brain. Fast dopamine mainly targets the nucleus accumbens shell and dorsal striatum, the brain's reward center. It primarily activates D2 receptors, which quickly become desensitized and trigger inhibitory mechanisms, like pressing the brain's brake pedal. That's how addiction forms. Chasing pleasure until emptiness. Slow dopamine primarily activates D1 receptors, centered in the nucleus accumbens core, working with the prefrontal cortex, striatum, and hippocampus. You hear prefrontal cortex, and you know it's a higher-level system. Right. Slow dopamine helps with planning, sustained motivation, and reinforcement learning. As we discussed in a brief history of intelligence, reinforcement learning depends on dopamine. Slow dopamine not only helps you stick to the hard but right path. It strengthens neuroplasticity, helping neurons connect and skills solidify. In simple terms, the more you do it, the better you get, and the more confident you become. Fast dopamine addicts you. Slow dopamine empowers you. The conclusion is obvious. Avoid fast dopamine, cultivate slow dopamine. Each time you reach for your phone, pause and ask, am I craving fast dopamine again? You need some discipline. The key brain area that restrains impulsive behavior is the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, AMCC. Every time you resist an addictive impulse and shift toward a healthy one, it activates. And the more it's used, the stronger it gets. Like a muscle. So next time before grabbing your phone, think of your AMCC. Can I resist this urge and use it as a chance to train my willpower? Power suggests setting fixed times to check your phone each day. Everyone can find their own rhythm, but one of his best strategies is this. Don't check social media until you've seen sunlight. That means when you wake up, the first thing you do isn't checking your phone. Get ready, step outside, and take a walk. You've just exercised your AMCC, sunlight makes you feel good, and it kickstarts your slow dopamine. The simplest habit? Make your bed right after waking up. You'll see immediate progress. That's slow dopamine. The same goes for everything else. Start by cleaning one spot, reading 2 pages, solving one small problem. Each little progress triggers the slow dopamine feedback loop, and soon you'll enter flow. People with ADHD often struggle with focus. But maybe the key is doing something they genuinely love. Once they're in, the system takes over. Since slow dopamine arises from effortful pleasure, why not deliberately introduce small discomforts? Power recommends cold water therapy, now popular in the tech world. The extreme version. Fill a tub with ice and water, submerge your body. The moderate version. A cold shower. The beginner version. Finish your normal shower, then switch to cold water for a few seconds. 10 seconds at first, then up to 30. This brief discomfort not only triggers slow dopamine but also improves health. Boosting immunity, easing depression, relieving muscle pain, speeding recovery, even aiding weight loss. But here, we care about dopamine. A cold shower in the morning can set a great tone for the day. Power also suggests using cold water to recalibrate your dopamine system after a fast dopamine binge. Like a night of drinking. You don't even need a shower. Just dunk your face into a bowl of icy water for a while. Once you understand fast and slow dopamine, a lot of things make sense. Why do we need long-term goals? Because pursuing them provides continuous slow dopamine. And that's what keeps you alive and fulfilled. Why is addiction the opposite of happiness? Stanford neuroscientist Andrew Huberman puts it perfectly. Addiction is a progressive narrowing of the things that bring you pleasure. Happiness is a progressive expansion of the things that bring you pleasure. The former emerges passively. The latter takes work. Think about it. Addicts find fewer and fewer things that interest them, becoming numb. Truly happy people, on the other hand, discover joy in more and more things. Your dopamine sensitivity should increase, not decrease. One last thought. Even if your efforts bring little progress or negative feedback, you're still on a higher level than those who do nothing but comment from the sidelines. Engagement feedback will always be greater than prediction fulfillment. Playing the game beats watching the game. A fan's accurate prediction is still just that, a prediction. The player, no matter how poorly he performs, is doing it. Guessing can bring fleeting pleasure. Doing is often painful. Maybe always painful. But it brings deeper fulfillment. So those who spend their days judging others' actions are, by definition, beneath the ones who take action. That's it for today's content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
If you feel there is value in this, please like, subscribe to this channel, and leave your thoughts or suggestions in the comments section. Let's grow together and read more good books.